So, when you think of the wealthiest people in history, who comes to mind? Is it emperors? Modern-day billionaires? Well, what if the real story of wealth isn't about what people had, but maybe what they were willing to give up? Today, we're going to challenge the very idea of what it means to be rich.
It really is the big question, isn't it? Is wealth just about what's in your bank account, or is it something else entirely? We're not here to give you easy answers. Instead, we're going to explore this through some of history's most amazing paradoxes.
I want you to think of this as a journey through a kind of hall of mirrors. Each one is going to reflect a different truth about power, success, and what it really means to be fulfilled. So let's look into them together and see what we find. Okay, our first stop is the ancient world. And here, we find two of the most powerful contrasts you can imagine, all centered on this tension between having worldly power and having inner freedom.
So on one side, you have Alexander the Great. This is a man who possessed the entire known world. Armies, empires, you name it. And yet, history tells us he was always restless, always needing that next conquest. And on the other side, you have the philosopher Diogenes, who owned literally nothing but a cloth and lived in a ceramic jar. He possessed nothing, and because of that, he wanted for nothing.
And this brings us to their legendary meeting. Picture this: Alexander, the most powerful man on earth, stands before Diogenes and offers to grant him any wish, anything he wants. And Diogenes' reply has just echoed through the centuries. "Move a little to the side. You are blocking my sunlight." For him, a simple sunbeam was a treasure that no emperor could ever give him. That moment left a huge mark. Alexander himself is said to have remarked, "If I were not Alexander, I would wish to be Diogenes." The conqueror of the world saw true wealth in the man who needed absolutely nothing to be complete. So let me ask you, who was the richer man in that story? Our next mirror reflects a very similar paradox, this time from ancient India. We see Emperor Dhana Nanda, surrounded by all the gold in his palace, but he's a prisoner of his own paranoia. And in complete contrast, you have his contemporary, Chanakya. This man lived in a simple mud hut, yet his mind, his strategy, controlled an entire empire. When a Greek ambassador visited and was just shocked by his humble little hut, Chanakya's reply really revealed his entire philosophy. His personal poverty was the very foundation of his kingdom's wealth and his own unshakable power. His wealth wasn't in what he owned, it was in the well-being of the people he was serving. All right, let's jump forward and bring these mirrors into our own time. Does this same paradox still exist today? Well, this clash between external fame and internal fulfillment, it's a story we see playing out all around us all the time. Now think about this pairing. On one hand, you've got Steve Jobs, a visionary billionaire. It's been widely reported that in his final days, he reflected on how his vast fortune was basically meaningless because it couldn't buy him the one thing he really needed, life's energy. Now contrast that with Kabir Das, a weaver from the 15th century. He lived in poverty, yet actual kings would come to seek his wisdom. And why? Because he called himself the King of Kings. He'd conquered desire itself. And that's really the core of it, isn't it? One man was rich in possessions but felt spiritually bankrupt when it mattered the most. The other was rich in a totally different kind of currency, an inner vitality, a life force, an energy that made him feel like royalty. Our final modern mirror shows one of the most powerful contrasts of all. You have Marilyn Monroe, an absolute symbol of glamour, fame, and wealth for a whole generation. But her life was plagued by deep depression and a feeling of emptiness. And then, you have Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, the people's president of India. She had everything the world tells us we should want. The fame, the fortune, the adoration. And yet, she died at only 36, reportedly feeling completely and profoundly alone. That dazzling image on the outside was hiding a tragic reality on the inside.
Dr. Kalam, on the other hand, left the highest office in the country with just 2 suitcases, and they were mostly filled with books. He owned no property, no car, practically nothing, but his wealth was immeasurable, counted in the love and respect of billions of people.
These stories aren't just fascinating tales from history books. This idea of choosing a different kind of wealth is a living, breathing principle. It's about a conscious choice, one that's being made by people even in our own time. Take the life of Pandit Shriram Sharma Acharya. At every single turn, he faced a choice. He was offered a government pension for being a freedom fighter, and he refused it. He was offered political power, and he rejected it. Instead of building his own wealth, he sold his inheritance to build a spiritual center for other people.
He chose to live with a zero bank balance, and in doing so, he built a global family of millions. And this legacy of choice, it continued. Dr. Pranav Pandya was a brilliant doctor, a gold medalist with a clear path to a high-paying medical career in the United States. But then, a call came from his guru, and suddenly he was faced with a choice: the American dream or a life of service. He chose a simple room in Haridwar.
And the next generation faced that very same crossroads. Dr. Chinmay Pandya was a rising star in the British medical system, trained in the UK, living a comfortable life in London. But he heard a different call, a call to help lead a spiritual revolution from India. So he chose to leave all the glamour of the West behind and return to his roots. Every single one of them stood at this exact same fork in the road. One path led to what we call success: possessions, money, a career. The other path led to a life of service. By choosing that second path, they didn't choose to be poor. They chose a different kind of wealth. They chose energy. They chose legacy. They became the truly rich of our time. So, after looking into all of these mirrors, from Alexander the Great all the way to Dr. Kalam, what have we really seen? What is the real currency of a wealthy life?
Maybe, just maybe, true wealth isn't about what we accumulate, but about what we can give. It's about cultivating an inner, vital energy and finding the strength that comes from sacrifice. This is the common thread that connects a philosopher in a jar to a prime minister in a hut, a medieval weaver to the living legacies of our own time.
And this quote from Pandit Shriram Sharma Acharya just captures it perfectly. The ultimate empire isn't external. It's not land or gold. The true emperor is the one who has mastery over their own desires, their own thirst for more.
And so in the end, the final mirror turns to you, to us. All these stories, they all boil down to a single choice. The one between the world's definition of wealth and the one that was lived by history's truly rich. The question isn't for them anymore, it's for us. Are you chasing an illusion, or are you building a reality?